Deebo Samuel extension, because Deebo Samuel, if people do not know, he was extended by his hold in is over. Matt, you're the 49ers fan. What do you think about this deal, keeping Deebo in San Francisco? How crucial is it to the future success of this team?
So this is a big deal because you want Deebo to be here with Lance. We were just talking about how Lance might be kind of raw coming out, and I talked about, comparing him a little bit to Josh Allen in terms of like the timeline. Well, one of the big things with the Josh Allen timeline was that they were able to go out and get Stephon Diggs. Well, the 49ers already have their all-star caliber receiving core out there with George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, a couple other good complementary players like Jawan Jennings, a good run game, right? They already got that. Deebo Samuel, they needed to get it done because Deebo Samuel was the heart and soul of the team last year. He was a monster player. And now he's getting paid a good amount. I think the contract makes perfect sense. It's 3 years, 71 million, and then the guarantees were 58 million. So he's making what is it? I think it's like just under 24 for his average salary. It's similar to the AJ Brown, the DK Metcalf contract. I think AJ Brown tweeted out the other day that like, look, we all got the same deal. So basically, like, kind of like taking a shot at the Titans, like, we all got the same deal, man. Like, these guys were just tripping, and that's why they traded me. It said, like, fly, Eagles, fly, or something like that. But just wanted to basically say, like, look, we all end up getting basically the same thing in the end. So it's the market. In terms of, like, the structure of it, I do like the structure because there's a potential out after 2024. And they'd have 15 million dead cap, but in case something had, right? Because the big thing with Deebo is just the way he's been used. It's a very physical way. And we've seen him already go through a few injuries. And even though last year he didn't like miss much, like any time really with injuries, you could see that he was banged up throughout the season. Like he definitely was. Now, I don't think you're going to see the inside carry volume that we saw last year because that was a little bit absurd. But this dude literally put the team on his back. And if you're looking at like offensive players that were just absolutely remarkable last season, you have to include Deebo Samuel with that. I get that Cooper Kupp broke the receiving record. There's also another game. That's one thing. And also, Deebo Samuel was working with nothing, where Cooper Kupp was working with a guy in Matthew Stafford that is extremely underrated and consistently throughout his career has, really like helped his wide receivers have monster numbers. You look at Megatron, right? Well, Megatron's Megatron, but then also when you add in Matthew Stafford to the mix, he puts up, he breaks the record. Well, Kenny Golladay was also a complete monster with Matthew Stafford and Cooper.
By the way,
Kupp,
he didn't break the record. He was like 50 yards short. Almost, though.
Okay, almost.
He won the Triple Crown, which is maybe more impressive.
Yeah. So, I mean, we knew that he was just like a guarantee to just be a complete animal every year. He was insane. So yeah, Cooper Kupp's been fantastic, but Deebo Samuel deserves to be talked about. And when we're talking about last year, like the highest, performers, it is Deebo Samuel because there's like 8 to 10 plays last year where legitimately where the 49ers season is about to end. Deebo goes and tells Kyle, hey, Kyle, give me the rock. And then Deebo literally comes in and scores a 50-yard touchdown, 80-yard touchdown. Like he was doing that every single week. It was incredible. So like for me as a fan, there was not a better player that I've seen. Like probably the only offensive season where I've like really watched the team and stuff has been like maybe like LT seasons, right? Where I've been like, oh my God, like I've been watching LT just absolutely tear people apart. Deebo was up there in that. Like there's other guys too. There's a lot of guys. There's Megatron, right? There's guys like that. And I think you can talk about Cooper Kupp, like definitely. I mean, he had an extraordinary season. But if we're going to talk about last year's top offensive performers, Deebo Samuel is definitely in that conversation because of just the explosive plays in the perfect moments every single week. As a Niner fan, like I was saying, like it was just crazy to watch, but I literally would feel like, all right, seasons, we have to score a touchdown this drive. And then Deebo goes in the backfield and you go, hell yeah, touchdown. You sit back and then Deebo scores a touchdown. It was like routine at the end of the season. It was crazy. And even in the Rams game where they get knocked out, he had like a 60-yard touchdown run, like or 40-yard touchdown run. It was just what a remarkable season. So he deserved all the money. He was the 49ers' best player last year, and you're talking about a lot of elite guys on that team as well. And they basically change their offensive scheme to be the Deebo scheme because Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't get his job done in terms of getting the ball to his wideouts. Now, to be fair to Jimmy, he was pretty banged up at the end of the year, but still, like Deebo literally put the team on his back. So I love it. In terms of what it looks like as a contract, I think it makes a lot of sense. It's only a 3-year extension. When the deal is over, he will be finishing his age 29 season, so he could potentially re-up somewhere. He could potentially get cut after age 28 season, but I think this is one where we should see the deal come through. Like it should go to the end, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up going somewhere else after a year or if he re-ups another big contract. But I think this is a big dub for both sides because Deebo's going to put up the best numbers in his career in San Francisco, and he gets a chance to work with Kyle Shanahan for 3 more years now, and I think that's a scary thing for the rest of the NFC.
Yeah, I think what you brought up at the end is the perfect point. He gets to be with Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan gets to be with Deebo. That is the best pairing that you can have between wide receivers and offensive coordinators. You can say quarterback and Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, that may be a little bit better, but Shanahan and Deebo is perfect. Shanahan gets guys in space. Deebo runs over people in space. That is how it works. That is how the Niners offense was run last year, and that's how it's going to be continued to run because they have Deebo, they have Ayuk, and they have George Kittle. They also have Trey Lance, who could drop the shoulder. I don't know how much a lot of people would love him dropping the shoulder and running people over, but Deebo Samuel gets to come into this, this kind of new era in San Francisco with a new quarterback where they're trying to really become something. And he gets to do that with the best possible person, Kyle Shanahan. And I get that he wanted a lot of money coming after last year because, Matt, like you said, Howie should be in this conversation. If somebody does not have Deebo Samuel in the best offensive performances, as a season last year, I don't think they watched a single San Francisco 49ers game. They didn't watch a single highlight of a 49ers game.
Dude, I'm being serious, dude. People don't talk people act like his season wasn't that crazy. Like, oh yeah, he ran the ball well. It's like, dude, you don't understand, man. Like his percentage of scoring a touchdown on a run play was fucking crazy. Like it was insane how often he would score. It was nuts. It was crazy.
It was like Deebo Samuel lines up into the backfield, and it was just like, oh no. Like when you have a player that plays wide receiver and they line up in the backfield and you're more scared of when he was lining up at wide receiver, that is showing how good he is, right? Like he is someone where he is dominant as a wide receiver. And I don't think people really recognize that him in his second season. People that, were watching the 49ers, they were like, okay, this Deebo guy, like he's good. Now, was he the player he was last year? No, but he was good. He was physical. He got the ball in space. You could live with him as being, one of your wide receivers going forward in the NFL. Now he's a player where Shanahan has gone, wow. If I don't have this guy, there is 0 people that I can replace him with and be able to do the same thing. That's what Shanahan wants to do, right? He wants to get the best value to put him in there. Why did the 49ers draft Javon Kinlaw over CeeDee Lamb? Because Shanahan looked at it and he said, you know what? This Brandon Ayuk guy, for what I'm trying to do, is just about the same as CeeDee Lamb with the ball in his hands. So we can get him late in the first round and get Kinlaw. Unfortunately, injuries,
let's not talk about
chronic
Kinlaw,
pain. Right? But overall, he wants to get like those perfect guys. There's nobody in the NFL like Deebo. He is a unicorn, a term overused in the NBA, not used in the NFL. He's a unicorn. His ability to catch the ball and run the ball at a high rate is unparalleled in the modern NFL. So now that you have a player that can do these things, you can't let him go if you're Kyle Shanahan because you can't get that back. You can't draft a guy. You can't trade for a guy. It's just Deebo. So you have to keep him. And now he knows that he can run his offense in a particular way. And Deebo Samuel was frustrated with the 49ers for running him so much because it was, it was borderline insane. Like it was like, okay, week like 7 through 15, it was like, oh, Deebo getting a little bit of carries. And it was like week 16 through 18, you were like, oh my gosh, Deebo Samuel's a running back. Like this dude put him out that wide receiver a little bit. And he was kind of frustrated. He was like, man, I'm a wide receiver, play me out like a wide receiver. My favorite part about the deal was the incentives for running the ball. Rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. I thought that was great. Because it's like now when he's running the ball, he knows that he's at least getting some sort of financial advantage. And unlike Kyler Murray, he's not going to cry to the press and be like, oh, they had to pay me to play running back. Because he's all crying about how he has to do homework and he got out of it. But
dude, that is so funny.
I know. It's hilarious to me. But Deebo Samuel is in the perfect spot. Shanahan has the perfect guy. And Kittle has the perfect guy as well. Because you're going to be tired if you're a linebacker or a safety and you're playing the Niners. You're going to be exhausted.
Dude, and the thing
is, and then Trent Williams, he pulled and he leveled you as a linebacker. Even worse. Even worse.
Dude, if you don't have a good linebacking core, you're gonna get cooked. That's the thing. Like the Niners are gonna lose games, like they definitely are. They're gonna have some flaws. But if you're like if their ability to get outside and really run the ball well outside is gonna be phenomenal.
Think Packers in the playoffs 2 years ago.
I want to show one thing with Deebo Samuel, because I think when we are looking at this contract, I think one thing that could get brought up, and I think it's fair. I think it's fair if you haven't been super locked into the Niners to be like, why would they want to pay a guy $24 million a year that's only done it 1 year, right? Okay. Counterpoint. 1, he did it as good as anyone last year. 2, his second year when he was on the field, he looked phenomenal. He looked great, right? He was sick. He had like a game where he had 13 catches, like 150 yards against the Rams with Nick Mullins, and they beat the Rams. And the Rams were good. The Rams were a good team. And they just didn't have a quarterback, and he was hurt for the majority of the time. But if you go back to his rookie season when the Niners went to the Super Bowl, I'm going to pull it up right now. It was really, really crazy because he was the guy in the second half of the season, and I think a lot of people forget that. So let's look. And I know I have Sleeper up here, but look, he comes out. They have their bye, right? He gets a little banged up right here. Then starting Carolina, look at these numbers, dude. Now, Carolina wasn't that crazy. Oh, he had a touchdown. I think he ran a touchdown in, right? He's getting, like, all of a sudden he starts getting volume, 19. Like, in fantasy points, like, he's putting up numbers, 130. These are good numbers. And he was doing this throughout the whole playoffs as well. He had a monster play in the Packers game. He was a guy that in the Super Bowl, he started out the game and I think he got the ball the first play of the game and he got like 20, 30 yards. Like he was one of their key offensive pieces, and that was during a second half where the offense drastically improved that year because it was all about the defense that year, right? They had a sweet defense, but their offense drastically improved. And in the second half of the season and during the playoffs, he was one of the guys that was getting the ball a lot in critical spots. So he's been doing it since the second half of his rookie year. And unfortunately, he missed last year 2 years ago to injury. But when he's been healthy, when he's been on the field outside of like the first like 6 weeks of his career, when he's, catching up to speed, he has been good the whole time. That's the thing. So I think that's something that gets brought up, and I think it's super fair, but it's just not really true if you've really been locked into the Niners. But yeah, that's probably all I got on Deebo. You got me really excited for the season. We got to do a bunch of Niners topics today. But it's been fun. I know I'm going to be on tomorrow again. We're going to do a trade deadline thing at 4:00. I'll probably post that soon here. But anything else you want to talk about before we probably dip out?
I want to add on to Deebo. He only did it 1 year. And I get Matt, you brought up, he was really good the other years. And I completely agree with that. But so? You don't think the Bills would extend Josh Allen after his third year if they could have? Like, if you make a jump, you make a jump. It was not some fluke season where it was like, oh, it's like, okay, horrible quarterback, and he's doing everything. I don't know of a fluke season from a player where they carried their team to the NFC Championship game as a wide receiver, and then all of a sudden it's just like, no, he's not good. It's not like you're paying him $40 million a year. Like you're paying him, $23 million a year, which is average for that group of wide receivers. and you're actually contending with him. Yeah, the Seahawks are paying DK Metcalf about the same amount of money, but they are not contending this year. They will not be contending next year. They probably won't be contending the year after that, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. Niners are going to be contending with him, and they have a quarterback that can grow with him and grow with that system, and it's going to be really scary for years to come. The Deebo Samuel move was great. It's perfect for both sides, and I don't think that there's a better match in the NFL than the trio or the quartet of Kyle Shanahan, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Trent Williams. There's not better. You cannot get better than those four.
You forgot one other guy, dude. You have to throw him into the group. Juice. You got to throw in Juice, Shep.
Yeah, 5 guys. I mean, you can throw in 5 guys right there. That's better than burgers and fries, right? That's pancakes on Sundays. That was really stupid. But guys, thank you so much for coming through. We try and do a show every Monday talking about the NFL, but we talked about the hater news at the beginning of the show because San Diego related news. We try and talk about it. I'll be back on Wednesday and I'll be talking about the NBA. I'll be doing a little bit of a short bio talking about Bill Russell and his career and his life after basketball, before basketball, everything like that. I used to do historical NFL videos, so I actually have experience doing it, so don't worry about that. I'm not just some random person, but it should be a lot of fun. Excited for the Hall of Fame game that's coming this Thursday. Excited for preseason next week, which is crazy. But thank you everybody for coming through. Subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe. We post all of these segments, after they go live. Last week was kind of a test run. This week, this is full throttle. We're working on setting up all the social medias. Those should be set up by the end of the week, posting the clips and everything like that. We'll see.
Well, TikTok will have set up for sure.
The main social medias should be a lot of fun. But thank you everybody for coming through, and we'll see all of you again next time.
Also, I'll be going live tomorrow, 4:00, MLB trade deadline. Last thing.